All right. We are live, everyone. So we are going to get started in 1 minute. You know, I join on a little bit early just to get persons to have the opportunity to get the notification so that they will know that we're going live. So we're going to start in just a few seconds, actually, with day 3 of leadership truths. All right, the truths no one will dare to tell you. So guys, let me just make sure we are all on and we looking good and we're ready. Yeah, man. We are in a gear, as they say. So if it is you join on early and you see all of this to the start, don't even worry about it. It's just really to give persons the opportunity to know that we are live so they can have opportunity to join on. All right, just 1 second again. All right, nice. All right, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. It is 7:01 in Trinidad and Tobago Atlantic Standard Time, and we are here for day 3 of leadership truths, truths that no one will dare to tell you. Now, I didn't say that before, but I decided to set up next to my Christmas tree. I just got inspired to put up my Christmas tree a couple of weeks ago, so I know I'm super early. All right, but I enjoy Christmas and I enjoy all the decorations. And so I just decided to just do the lives next to my Christmas tree, right? Because I love Christmas and I enjoy the Christmas tree. So if you see Christmas tree, I'm not going crazy. I just got this vibes or this vibes or this inspiration a couple of weeks ago. And I put up my tree, I decorated it, and I'm enjoying my tree. All right. So we are going to jump in today. You know, we're having this 3-day live, and I usually have it on Facebook and LinkedIn, but I decided to move it to YouTube so that we would have a collection of all different videos, be it lives, or if it is we do something else, it will all be here so persons could come back and find the collection of our videos, right? And we would just put the shorts or the snippets or the reels on the other social media platforms. That's why we decided to go this route. So just a little bit again, my name is Safia Johnson. If at all you're looking at it for the first time, and I am a leadership strategist and the CEO of Safia Group. I help good managers become great leaders. That's what I do. All right. If it is you come to me as an individual or if it is a corporation, training their managers, that is what we do. All right. And then the rest of Safia Group, we're multidivisional. We provide services to our clients in the areas of accounting, HR, strategic development, and business development. Right. And if you're on, let me know where you're from, where you're chiming in from. Tell me hello. If it is you're watching the replay, put hashtag replay, because I know some person say to me, Safia, that time is a difficult time for me. That's fine if you're looking at it after. Put in hashtag replay, so I would know that you're looking at it after. Drop in your questions after. We have had questions on some of the videos. We did day 1 as well as day 2. And I go back in and I answer the questions. So please put your questions, even if you're looking at it after, put your questions. I'll be super happy to answer them. All right. So leadership truths. All right. And that's a bit of a tongue twister for me. All right. Truths no one will dare to tell you. We did day 1. Day 1, we dealt with, it's more than just theory. Yeah. Day 2, we dealt with Am I a Toxic Leader? So if you have not seen either of those 2 videos, go back and look at those videos. And persons who came every single day, either to the live or you came back and you watched the replay, thank you so much for your consistency, for your support, and just thank you for supporting our content, right? And if this is your first time watching our video, we want to say thank you. Welcome to the Leaders Chat Room. We talk about all things leadership. All right, excitement, all things leadership. Now, making these videos, I always enjoy bringing content, but what I do miss is talking to persons in person. I love to interact with people in person, to see their faces, to get that live vibes, but I am so thankful even to come through this medium. All right. Today, we'll be dealing with the topic of how to effectively lead other leaders. And that's a big topic because many leaders struggle to lead other persons who are leaders themselves. Now, leadership is so important, so important. I would often say that leadership is the single most influential factor in any environment. Everything rises and falls depending on who the leader is. It doesn't matter, it could be an organization, a department, a country, a community, a family. It will rise and fall depending on who the leader is. It will take on the personality of the leader. I often use the United States as an example. Going from Barack Obama being the president to Donald Trump being the president to now Joe Biden being the president, the entire country took on different personas under the different presidents, because each president is so vastly different. And the country, the way it interacted with the rest of the world, the things that were happening in the country, vastly different, again, in alignment with who the leader was or is. All right, leadership is critical. And someone asked me a question yesterday, talking to a group of leaders. Someone asked me, how did I get into this? If I'm a chartered accountant, how did you get into leadership, right? And I had to give them the experience that I had when I was chief accountant. And I say this quite often for those who follow me for a while, who follow me. When I was chief accountant and I had the opportunity to apply to be the chief financial officer, to now head the entire function, the entire finance function in the organization. Based on the requirements, I had to show my accounting qualification, my accounting experience, my accounting prowess, what I was able to accomplish in the department so far, all of these different things. When I got into the chief financial officer position, only 10% of my time was actually spent doing accounting. The lion's share of my time was spent leading, doing leadership. It was not something that was required when you looked at the job description. Or they might indicate it must be able to lead others, must have leadership experience, those kinds of things. But what does that mean? And I really had no true guidance. I had no tools. I really didn't know what I was getting into. So it was a lot of trial and error. And many leaders, they lead with trial and error. They don't really know what they're doing, and they don't want anybody to know that they don't know what they're doing. But when you see how they lead, when you see the errors that they make, when you see the issues that they create, you know that they are struggling in the position. All right? It's more than just the work. And people say to me all the time, Safia, the work I can do. The people is what makes this whole thing stressful. This is what makes it difficult. Because leadership is not management. And I've said that over and over and over. Leadership is not management. Both are important, both are critical, but they are not the same. And if I dare say, leadership is even more important, all right? Because you need to lead your people to accomplish a particular vision. You cannot manage them into accomplishing a particular vision. You can only lead them to do that, all right? And so recognizing my own experience of not being prepared, many leaders are thrown into leadership positions without preparation, without even being made aware of what they're getting into truly. They don't have any tools. At best, they may get a pep talk. I believe you can do it. You have a lot of leadership potential. I think you would do well in this position. And I'm here to support if it is you need me. But really and truly, when the rubber hits the road and you have to deal with the complex situations coming to you, you really don't know. And you can't go to your boss all the time. All right, I often tell persons, when it is you go through your leadership challenges, you can't go and vent to your team any old how. All right. You cannot just go and vent there, because when you vent there, even though they may get along well with you, they may even like you. All right. They will be telling themselves in the back of their heads, she doesn't really know what she's doing. She's always coming to complain about she's been lost. All right. And people must trust your competence. They must trust that you know what you are doing. Anytime trust is eroded, influence is eroded, and then you would lose your leadership foothold. You cannot just go and vent to your seniors anyhow either. You can go for guidance, you can go to be mentored, but you have to be careful about how you share the difficulties you're experiencing, because unfortunately for some seniors, they start to do your performance appraisal in their minds, because they're thinking you can do it, or they're thinking you're going to find a way. Find a way. Don't come to tell me you don't understand, you don't know what to do. Go and find a way. And if it is you vent in a space of frustration or not knowing what to do or feeling lost or overwhelmed, they can see it as weakness. And so leaders find themselves in a pickle. They weren't prepared, they weren't trained, they dropped in the deep end, and they have to be so careful about who they go to vent, get advice, and really just share the experience with. That being my experience, that is why I got into leadership, to provide support to leaders so that the true potential that is within there can come out. There are many people who give up leadership positions. They say, no, this is not for me. They avoid the promotions, who would be fantastic leaders, because they assume it will just be too stressful, too much for them to handle, because they know they will have to walk the road alone. But you don't have to do that. All right. And that's why I got into leadership. That's why I started Sapphire Group. And that's why I do what it is I do, to help good managers become great leaders, because the potential to become a great leader is within each of us. All right. So after I've said all of that, let's jump into today's topic. Today's topic is how to effectively lead other leaders. And the reason why this is a big topic is because once you have more than 2 levels in your hierarchy, you are going to have leaders in your structure. So if it is you have a very flat structure, you have the CEO and then everybody reports into the CEO, full stop. There are no supervisors, there are no managers. The CEO is chief cook and butter washer, is the supervisor, is the manager, is the CEO, is everybody, then fine. Perhaps it may not work there. But if you have at least one supervisor in your organization, you have middle management, you have executive, that's a hierarchy of leaders. And so the higher leaders have to lead other leaders that are more junior to them, but they are leaders nonetheless, because they have teams under them. I cannot tell you the number of times I have seen leaders become so frustrated into resigning, frustrated into disengagement, because their leaders do not give them an opportunity to lead and to show themselves as leaders. Because leaders, we who are leaders, we do not sometimes make a distinction between someone who is a leader, who has a team under them, and someone who does not have a team under them, and somebody who have to give an account for other people. And there are 2 very distinct categories of people. You cannot lead both of them the same way. It will end up catastrophic. Catastrophic. If you try to lead team members who are leaders in their own right, they have team members under them. If you try to lead those team members the same way you lead team members who do not have anybody reporting to them, you're going to create issues in your organization. You are going to create disengagement. And this young, bright, or it might have been older, bright, experienced, bright, this person who you thought would have been such a gem and a jewel to take your organization forward will walk away. All right? So it's very important. Once you have more than 2 levels in your organization, in your hierarchy, you have to engage the component of leading other leaders. I want to put that out there. Whether you may see them as just a supervisor, that person is a leader, because they have people reporting into them, and you have to treat with them as the leader they are. We have different levels with different levels of responsibility, with different portions of the organization, to treat with different things, different sizes of staff, all of those things, which is fine. But once you have responsibility for another person in an organization, you are a leader. And if you have responsibility for anyone who has responsibility for someone else, you are leading leaders, and you must engage this component. All right? So I can just put out the general context. The general context is you must respect the leader in that person. First and foremost, last and most important, it encapsulates everything. It comes down to respect. When leaders, it could be junior leaders, it could be middle leaders, it could be your supervisors, it could be a middle management, even your executive, when it comes to the board managing the executive, when these persons believe that they have been disrespected, their leadership capacity disrespected, the value that they bring disrespected, their opinions, their approaches disrespected, they become disengaged and then they leave. So it comes down to respecting the leader in that person. One way to show respect is to give autonomy. Some leaders struggle with allowing other people to have autonomy. Autonomy requires trust. You must trust that this other person can effectively complete the tasks assigned to them without your constant intervention or micromanagement. And some leaders really have an issue with control. They become very stressed, not knowing every single thing that is happening. As soon as it happens, they become very stressed, allowing other persons to determine the approach, even for minuscule things. All right? There are things that you can give and leave in the complete domain of another leader and let them just report into you on their progress and how they're going and all those different things. But you can leave them, give autonomy. Show that you trust them. Show that you value their perspective and approach. When you do not do that, leaders feel disrespected. They feel unappreciated. They feel undervalued. They feel as if they're not seen and they're not heard. And then they leave to go and work on somebody else's vision. All right? So let's talk about three ways that you can adopt to effectively lead other leaders. Again, I'm going to repeat because sometimes persons get quite confused with this topic. If it is the person that reports into you, have people reporting into them, you need to engage this. It doesn't matter what level of the organization they're at. It doesn't matter what their pay is. It doesn't matter how long they've been in the organization. Once they have responsibility for somebody else in the organization and they report to you, you have to engage leading other leaders. All right. So first way, you have to adopt the position of a coach more. You have to be a coach. All right. Now, what does that mean? I always use the analogy of football or any other sport for that matter. There is a coach, there is a team. And the coach coaches the team on formation, play strategy, even help select the players, all of that. But when it comes to the game, the coach is not on the field. It is the players who have to go out there and play the game with their captain. So you have to consider that leader that reports into you as the captain, and you are the coach, meaning you help set strategy, you give advice, you help set the plays, you might even select who goes where. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the execution, when it comes to the implementation, you are on the sidelines and allow your leader to go out there with their teams and get it done. Even if it is you have a challenge and you see something going wrong, you would see a coach doing this, time out, time out. You can call a timeout and pull the captain, pull the team aside and say, hey, guys, I think we made a mistake here. Let's see if we can do it this way, or let's see if we can do it that way. But after you have said that, it's still the team to go back out and get it done. As leaders who lead other leaders, we have to resist the urge to run on that field. We have to resist the urge to go on there and start kicking the ball. We have to resist the urge to do that, because when we do that, we disrespect the other leader. We undermine them. When we do that, we have to always keep our position as coaches. Allow them to go on that field. Allow them to make those mistakes. Allow them to feel the heat of taking responsibility for others. You cannot always run into that space. You will be burnt out. You will be frustrated. And after a while, you're going to resent that leader. All right, you have to coach more. You have to allow that person to go and execute the things that you have discussed. You have to allow them to go and execute the advice that you give to them. They are well able to do it. They can do it. They may not do it like you. They may not do it in the timing that you would do it in. They may be a very different leader from you. They may have a completely different approach and style or profile. They may be very, very different, but they are a leader nonetheless. And you have to give them that space to be a leader. Adopt a position as a coach more. You have to be that coach. Come out of player mode. Come out of just execution mode. Come out of just implementation mode. Trust your leader to go with their teams to implement, to execute, to go on the field. You remain on the sideline. No matter how badly a coach wants to go on the field, they can't. No matter how well that coach can play the game, the coach may be the best player, better than the players on the field. But at the end of the day, if the coach has adopted the position of coach, you are coach. You have to operate as a coach. All right? And coaches are not on the field. Because what the coach does is very, very important, but still not, even though their position is important, it is not to be on the field. All right? So as a leader of other leaders, you must adopt the position of a coach more. Coach more. All right? Ask a lot of probing questions. Help the leader to come to the answer for themselves. Don't just give them the answer. Do not just instruct them. This is what I want you to do. You want to avoid using those kinds of phrases. All right? But you want to ask them, what do you think you can do in this situation? How do you think you should approach this? And then you kind of prod along. Yes, I agree. That's a good approach. Or you may perhaps want to consider doing X, Y, Z. You add into it. But it's so critical that you allow that leader to develop their own leadership legs. And you do that by being the coach. Now, the other thing I would want to say about being a coach is that you are going to feel stressed when sometimes the ball may be dropped. Or people may start to complain. The person doesn't do it like you. Why you don't come back and do X, Y, Z? You have to support your leader. You have to allow them, you have to step back and allow them to do it. And if it is you see that they are making a mistake, pull them aside, call a timeout, and then help them along to make the change. All right, but adopt the position of a coach. Don't give them the answers. Let them develop their own strategic thinking. Let them develop their sense of proper judgment. Let them develop that, because once you do that, after a while, you're going to have a formidable leader in your team that would allow you to pull back a little bit more, allow you to come down off of the high a little bit more. Yeah, because you want to develop a leader that you can trust. All right, so adopt the position of a coach more. That's one. Number two, strategize with that leader more. Strategize with that leader more. What does that mean? As a strategic leader, you have to determine the way forward. You have to set vision. You have to set the strategy. There are so many components that you have to determine, decipher, develop, craft, all of those things, especially if you are the business owner, you are the dreamer. You are the one that sees what could be before it even occurs. All right. And then you have to develop what's the best way to get there. You want to do some of that strategic work with your leader present. All right. And I'm saying leader singular, but you might have a number of leaders reporting into you. You can be the CEO, you have your executive team, or you may be the head of a division and you have a number of line managers, or you may be a manager and you have a number of supervisors under you with your leadership team. That's your group of leaders. You want to strategize more with them in the room. You don't want to go off in secret, set a strategy and say, guys, this is what I thought of, this is what we're going to do. All right, let's roll it out. No, you want them to go on the journey with you. You want them to contribute to developing it because you want them to take ownership. And you want them to learn the ropes of strategic development alongside you. All right. So again, they can take up that kind of work to help you and to aid you in the growth of the business. So you want them to see what process you go through, the things you consider, the things, the stakeholders you may need to engage, the kind of data or research that you look at when you're coming up with your strategy. You know, who do you call upon? Who do you touch base with? Who do you bounce ideas off of? You want them there with you going through that process. So they get to see behind the scenes, all right, of building the strategy, not just the implementation part. Take them behind the curtains some more. Do that strategic work with them more, all right? What you're going to find is that they end up being a really good nexus because they are able to bridge for you what happens on the ground and what happens at the top. They are able to bridge for you what your idea or what you see as being the vision, how it would look when it plays out lower down in the organization. They are going to bring for you very valuable information from the bottom upward. All right. You do not just want to take a top-down approach. The bottom-up approach, a big component of that is including your leaders in certain strategic rooms and in certain strategic conversations. All right. You are able to get a lot of information from the bottom coming upward. And you want their ideas. You want their perspectives. You want the synergies of having your leaders in the room there with you. That is so, so critical. There's some leaders who are afraid to bring their other leaders in, secretive. You know, they don't want to reveal certain things even within the organization. But these are the people who have to bring it to life. These are the people who have to take the vision and make it a reality. They're not the ones to keep the secret from. And if it is, you believe that you need to keep secrets from the very team that needs to execute, you need to rethink either your own positioning and the way you view things, or you need to rethink the team that you have. You must be able to trust your team with the ideas because they are the ones to bring it to fruition. All right. If it is you do not, hi, Ivan, good to see you on. If it is you do not trust them, or if it is you are not able to be open enough to share some of the inner thoughts that you have about how to take the business forward, you have to rethink if you may have an issue or if you have the wrong team. But you must bring your leaders into the strategic room with you more, because that is how you're going to get buy-in. That is how they're going to be married to the vision. I often tell leaders, you have to so powerfully communicate your vision that your team espouses it as their own. Your vision becomes their vision. All right? Because managers, persons who have followed me for a while know this statement, managers get people to do what they want, but leaders get people to want what they want. Managers get people to do what they want, but leaders get people to want what they want. And you want your leadership team to want what you want. Because when they make it their own and they want it themselves, they go off and accomplish. They find ways, they think about it. It becomes, you know, their own vision that they want to execute themselves. All right. And how do you do that? By bringing them into that strategy room even more, sharing the vision with them. One person asked me yesterday, again, I had a leadership session talking with a number of leaders. And one person asked me, he said, how do you get your staff to be more invested in your organization and not just see it as a job, not just a paycheck. How do you do that? He said, because I've been trying, and people generally just see it as a paycheck. They just see it as, you know, I'm just coming to this 9 to 5 or this 8 to 4 to get a pay to continue on my life. And I said, because you have not given them anything to believe in. What are you accomplishing? What are you doing? Why do you have the business? What do you hope to achieve? And it can't just be building a fantastic business for yourself and your family. People will not buy into that. Now, that may be one of the outcomes, but the company must be doing something that means something to other people. It must be determined to make other person's lives better, some form of fashion. That is what people buy into. And when they see that it's a vision that they can support and they will benefit too from accomplishing that vision, they buy into it. There must be something in there for them. All right? People must know not only where you are going, but how are you going to get there, the journey. That's a big part. The Just to Lead principles, right, for effective leadership. Those are principles that I espouse and teach on. Just and lead, four letters in each word, 8 letters in total for the 8 principle. It's an acronym, Just Lead. And the J is journey. All right? You must describe the journey. Where are we going? What are we hoping to accomplish? And then you invite people on that journey with you. Would you accomplish this with me? Would you come on this journey with me? I'm inviting for us to do this together. And you get their consent, even if it's an emotional consent or a psychological consent, people would buy in. And something lit up inside of him. He's like, I get it. Yes, I understand what you're saying. And he can go back out now into his organization and really craft it. And it's not just a dry, hoxy vision statement that you see many companies have up. It's deeper than that, something that people can connect to and feel proud to be a part of. You must provide that for your people, for them to buy into it. And that's bringing them into the strategy room more. All right? So we're talking today how to lead, how to effectively lead other leaders. We said, 1, you have to be a coach more, adopt the position of a coach more. You're not running on the field with the players. You are on the sidelines and allowing that captain and the players to go out and execute. You have to bring them in the strategy room more. Yeah? And the last one is you need to lead by example more. And this is a Powerful one. Harvard Business School of Business, Harvard Business School, they did a study. All right, I was trying to remember the exact name as my mind was going back to the article. They did a study and they looked at how leadership behaviors play itself out throughout the organization and whether the behaviors were contagious. So they did a study, hundreds of organizations across the globe, to determine whether leadership behaviors were contagious. You know what they found? It was highly contagious. Highly contagious. Like COVID-19 that just ran through the world, leadership behaviors were contagious. And what they also found was that it almost amplifies itself as it goes lower down the organization. And they were able to put the behaviors into clusters. And I think there were about 8 clusters. For example, they talked about integrity and honesty, or the lack thereof. So if the leader exhibits honesty and integrity, the organization and the various leaders and the rest of the team inside of that organization, regardless of its size, small organizations, medium organizations, large organizations, it's the same. You would find that the rest of the organization exhibited honesty and integrity. When there was a lack of honesty and a lack of integrity, the same thing occurred throughout the organization. And so as a leader, when you have other leaders under you, it is even more critical that you lead by example, because the leaders under you will take pattern after your behavior and roll it out for their teams without you even knowing, without you even recognizing. The way you handle conflict, the way you handle being disappointed, how you deal with recognition and reward, how you deal with coaching or mentoring your teams, how you deal with errors, the kind of, do you take responsibility when you drop the ball or don't you? How you deal with all of those things is exactly how your leaders will deal with those things with their teams. So you can start a chain reaction like wildfire of good behavior or bad behavior. But what I'm saying is you need to now be cognizant that that is what is happening. So you want to be more careful, more cautious, more circumspect about what you do and how you do what you do in the organization, because your leaders are taking note and they are going to replicate it with their own department and their own teams. Excuse me. So you have to be so careful. And then not only being careful, now you want to be deliberate. Knowing what I've just said, you want to use that to your advantage to be able to create and nurture the behaviors you want to see in the organization or your department as a leader. If there are particular behaviors, for example, ever learning, growth and learning, that was one of the behaviors that Harvard looked at. And if the leader was an ever-learning leader, this evergreen knowledge type of leader, the organization was such as well. A leader that did not prioritize learning or growth, the leaders under that leader did that as well. So you can now be intentional and create the behaviors that you want to see in your organization or your department just by modeling it. Just by modeling it. All right. And you can create magic within your organization. You don't have to jump over the leader to speak with that leader's department and team if it is you feel the leader is not doing what they ought to do. You don't have to do that. You just have to model that behavior. And when that leader sees you doing it, they will pick up that behavior and do it with their own team. All right. So let me just recap. Adopt the position of a coach more, involve them in strategy more, and lead by example more. I would say this, as I said when I was starting off, it comes down to respecting the leader in that leader. One of the cardinal sins when you're leading other leaders is micromanagement. If you're a leader that has a challenge with micromanagement or with being always in control, you will micromanage people out of your organization. You will micromanage fantastic leaders out of your organization. You're going to micromanage excellent team members out of your organization. You have to resist that urge, if you have it, to micromanage. That's one of the cardinal sins. In fact, for me, whether I am leading someone who has a team under them, they're a leader, or someone who doesn't have a team under them, a non-leading team member, I do not practice micromanagement. I always respect the person, the fact that they have a brain and it works and they're excited and engaged concerning the business, and they also want to contribute to this business being fantastic and this organization being the best it can be, and I engage them at that level because regardless if you're a leader or not, you have something to add and I want to know what it is. All right? And then allow you, I trust you enough to go off and produce. If it is you have to always micromanage someone, something is wrong. I often tell my team members, anyone who forces me to micromanage, we're going to have an issue. If I feel the need that I have to micromanage you, we are going to have a problem. Houston, we have a problem because I should be able to trust you. All right? And people drop the ball ever so often, it happens. People make errors ever so often, it happens. We are all humans. I'm not talking about dropping the ball. I'm not talking about errors that happen ever so often. We have to make room for that because we ourselves drop the ball as leaders sometimes. We ourselves make errors sometimes as leaders, so our team can do the same thing and it's fine. It doesn't mean that they're incompetent. It doesn't mean that they're stupid. It doesn't mean that they're not the right fit. It doesn't mean they have a capacity issue. It just means that they're human. You have to make allowance for that. But beyond that, repetitive errors, repeatedly dropping the ball, those are different things, all right? And if I'm forced to micromanage, we're going to have an issue. That is one of the cardinal sins of leading other leaders, all right? Leaders thrive in autonomy. Consider it for yourself. You also have a leader, even if it is you are in the C-suite. You have a CEO. If you're a CEO, you have your board. Even if you're a board, you have the market, you have shareholders. There are many different ways that this, even if it is you're in government, you have the public, there is somebody you have to answer to. All right. And consider how you feel when you are micromanaged. You feel stifled, you feel stressed, you feel disrespected. So you have to be careful about not doing it to other leaders. They may be at a junior level to you, but they are leaders in their own right because they are senior to somebody, at least one other person. So you have to respect the leader within them. All right. So that's a little bit of a tidbit on how to effectively lead other leaders on. This is a whole big area. All right. When I do training on this area, training can be a day, more than a day, because it is a massive area. All right. And there's so many nuances. All right. And intricacies to it, and even complexities, depending on the size of organization, the industry that they're in, the history, the uniqueness, organizational culture. But these are some tidbits that you can use to help you if it is you have persons reporting to you who are leaders in their own right. All right. Guys, this is our final day. All right. And we have our challenge starting next week. I hope everyone can join in on the challenge. And let me tell you this, don't see the challenge is not for you. Now, if you are in leadership, definitely it is for you because influence is the bedrock of leadership. If it is you are in leadership, you need to increase your influence. That is how you get people to want what you want. That is what helps you to treat with burnout. That is what helps you to treat with avoiding micromanagement. It is being able to influence others. All right. So we deal with all the science aspects of influence, because you know I'm a science and art person, all right, the science of it and the art of it, you know, the theory and the practice. And then we go into the art of it, because we discuss how to lead, how to influence team members, those are who report to us, how to influence laterals, persons who are on the same level with us, how to influence our seniors, the people that we report to, all right, or more senior to us in the organization. You can't influence them as well. We talk about that in the challenge. How do you influence large groups? All right, if you have to deal with large groups, how do you influence large groups? And we also deal with how to influence the general public. It's a component as well. So besides all the different theories and the science and the art and the practice and building your influence quotient, we deal with how to influence different groups of people in different settings. All right, so you want to be a part of that. Now you can go to the website safiajohnson.com. It's 47 US or 317 TT dollars. All right. And if it is, hi, good night. Oh my God, thank you so much. If it is you want to be a part of that session, you need to jump in. All right. It starts on Monday. Now, generally, you can register at any time. Registration is open straight up until Monday itself. If it is you have any questions, reach out to us at info@safiagroup.com, or you can call 1-868-377-3215, but be part of that challenge. It's a 5-day challenge, 1 hour day, 7 to 8, every day next week. We're coming to increase our influence. We had one challenger going from rejecting being in charge of an entire NGO and association to at the end of the 4th day, because she came and she gave the testimonial, and the 5th day, she called back and she told them, listen, I'm going to lead it. She said, I felt such leadership confidence. I feel strength within my ability to influence others. And that came true, that she was able to take action and pick up a leadership position for an NGO. She was already leading in her workplace, but thinking that I can lead this entire NGO organization. After going through the challenge with us, she recognized she not only could have, she was able to do it, but she could have done it very, very well. All right. So guys, thank you for signing on. And remember, for those who are looking at it after, put in #replay. Even if it is you're looking at it after and you have a question, put it in the chat. I go back and I answer questions that you may have. If it is you have any comments or questions, just plop it in and I'll be happy to answer. All right, guys, it was such my pleasure being here with you over the last 3 days, talking about leadership truths. And I tell you that word sometimes is a tongue twister for me. But let us aspire to be better leaders. We have the capacity and the responsibility to influence others positively. So let's do so. Let's influence responsibly. Let's influence positively. And remember, when it comes to leadership, it's not just persons with position titles. Parents are leaders. Religious leaders are leaders. We just leader, right? You have politicians, they are leaders. Coaches, teachers, they are leaders. That whole spectrum, leaders. All right? And you want to be able to influence the people that you have charge over better, positively, all right, and more effectively. So hope to see you on the inside of the challenge. Sign up tonight. Go across to SaphiaJohnson.com and sign up. Any questions, shoot us an email or give us a call, and we'll be happy to answer it. So thank you for being with me for the last 3 days. We are going to be bringing you more content about leadership. So subscribe, share the page, tell other persons to subscribe. We are going to drive most of our traffic on YouTube, just letting you know. So there will be a compilation. You can go in and search up a topic that you may be looking for rather than just leaving it out on our social media platforms. You're going to find them all now starting to be compiled on the YouTube channel. So signing out. Have a fantastic rest of night, guys. Thank you so much for joining on live. Thank you so much for watching after. Let's continue to do this work together. See you.